here's the backyard. Here's my headquarters. That's a sauna.
This is huge.
Reagan, drop it.
Wow.
Drop it.
What's with the baseball? You a big baseball fan?
I'm a big baseball fan. Yeah, my boys play baseball. I played baseball like most of my life. Big Babe Ruth, big Bo Jackson fan.
Don't they play like 180 games a season or something?
They play 162.
That's a lot of sport.
A lot of sport, yeah.
Here's a question. You, Rich Froning and Dan Bailey.
What about him?
Bowling.
Bowling?
Yeah, who would win?
I don't know. I don't know how good bowlers they are, to be honest. I bet.
Would you back yourself?
I would probably say me. I'm not that good of a bowler. I would use the bumpers.
Team, this is Josh Bridges, 6 times games athlete.
Nailed it.
Hey.
That's it. Yeah, I'm out of here. Winner.
And total badass.
Thanks, man.
Ex-Marine and collegiate wrestler.
Marine. Get out.
SEAL.
Navy
Navy
SEAL.
SEAL.
Get out.
Right,
Get out of here.
retake. Ex-Navy SEAL and a collegiate wrestler.
Yes. Yep.
That's pretty cool. So, do you like Justin Bieber?
No.
No? What do you listen to? What's your go-to hype song?
I listen to a lot of classic rock, but I listen to a lot of things. I listen to Adele.
Nice.
I like Adele. Rolling in the Deep. I think that's one of my favorites.
So you're not feeling a workout or anything. You're like, right, I'm just gonna pump this song on because this is the one song that gets me going.
No, yeah, I don't have a.
You don't have one?
No, I don't have one. I have the thought. I like listening to the thoughts in my head. A little more than music.
Badass. You love sports.
I love sports.
Anything that's got a competitive, a winner and loser, you like it.
Yes, fact.
Even bowling.
Even bowling.
Yeah.
Even ping pong.
Even ping pong.
I watch ping pong. I watch curling.
Dude, that ping pong stuff is crazy though.
Crazy.
When you watch him go, I'm like, God, this guy's nuts. What's the first thing that comes to your head right now? Say it.
Kettlebells. So just looking at one.
So CrossFit. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? Someone came up to you, or there's one thing that ticks in your head, or a quote, or a phrase, and you're like, that stuck with me.
It was about my kids, actually. They said, don't ever wish for them to be in an age that they're not at the moment. Enjoy them where they're at in the moment, because it's going to go by fast. And so don't wish that they were older so you could do other things with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're
Serious.
a family channel here.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I like it. You've obviously traveled around the world, being a Navy SEAL. You've done it with CrossFit and everything else like that. You've probably done a lot of cool stuff. What is on your bucket list? Do you have anything left on your bucket list?
I do. I want to do an Ironman. Most of them are all really physical challenges for myself. Doing an Ironman without training for it. Maybe biking from the Mexican border to Canada border, something like that. On a road bike. Something
If you
like
do that, I'll do it. I'll train for that too.
Really?
Yeah, I'll come with you.
All right, let's do it.
Jazz can be like the film crew in the car next to her.
Yeah, I won't be on a bike.
Yeah.
I'll just drive next to you.
What was your first car?
It was a 93 Ford Probe, red Ford Probe.
Any stories with it? Did it survive? Did you just sell it
Yeah,
on?
that thing was awesome. I paid $2,000 for it, and it lasted me through high school into college, and then I finally sold it and got a truck or something like that.
Do you have a dream car, or are you not a car man?
I'm not a super big car guy. If I did have a dream car, it would be a Cobra 427. You ever seen the movie Bat? You know what that is? First off, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
But I will.
I was you ever
Blank
seen the,
look.
You ever seen the movie Bad Boys?
Yes.
You know the black car with the racing straps? It doesn't have a hood. The little fast one that wrecks at the end. That's it. It's a Cobra 427.
I'll insert a photo.
Yeah.
People will understand. If you're like me and still
Watch
don't
those
know.
films anyway, because they're getting it. There's a new one coming out. Isn't
Yeah.
What's the worst job you've ever had? Have you had a bad job?
Lots of them. Worst one had to be I was a telemarketer for the phone company. When you literally had to call people who had landlines and be like, would you like caller ID or call forwarding or call waiting on your phone?
So your timeline, obviously you did that as a job, and then how many years was it, or why did you get into the Navy SEALs? What clicked for you then and went, that's what I want to do?
So I had a buddy. I was a loan officer in the mortgage industry, where when you go to buy a house, I was the guy who got you the loan. And he was like, hey, this guy was like, I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL, and this is how they train. They do CrossFit. So the same guy that got me into the Navy was the same guy that got me into CrossFit.
What's his name? Shout him out.
Mike Singer.
You legend. You created us a legend.
Big shout out to Mike Singer. Good
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
So then you started doing CrossFit, and how long were you doing CrossFit before you then?
So I started doing CrossFit January 2005. Joined the Navy in March of '07. First year I could compete because of like my schedule with like deployments and training and everything was 2011.
And you finished second.
I finished second that year, yes.
Oh,
Look at that.
look
Look
at
at he's
these.
all over it.
Yeah.
All over it. Right behind.
Say I'm not a hardcore fan, but I'm a hardcore fan. I'm a City fan. What's the craziest story that you have? Obviously, like
You're
you
allowed
probably
to
tell us.
that you're allowed to tell us that you haven't told before, because I'm sure like you've been interviewed probably numerous times, and you probably have the same story for.
No, you're my
different
first.
people.
This is
Oh,
great,
really?
Yeah.
I've never been interviewed before.
This is amazing. It's so weird.
What's the story that you've not told that you're like, man, that's actually pretty cool, and I feel like a badass for doing it.
Anytime we did anything diving was really cool, because it was at nighttime and you're like 20 foot underwater, and you know like you basically have like nobody like there's nothing showing you where you're at, like you don't see bubbles or anything like that. So the diving stuff, like you feel like a Navy SEAL whenever you did it. And so we did some really cool ones where we were like 4-hour dives, hitting fake targets and training and stuff like that. It wasn't real, it was always training, but some of those were really cool. Like there was this one where, so if there was like a boat or a ship or something like that coming, they'd have to drop some basically like flares into the water to make sure so you came up and made sure you were safe and not underneath the boats, because the boats, some of the big ships have suctions underneath them, and then like you could literally get like sucked up underneath the boat and would probably die. And so I remember like being in the water and hearing the little noises come up and be like, okay, so we got to go up, and looking over, and there was this, like it was either a destroyer or a cruiser, like a pretty good sized ship, like literally like 150 maybe 200 yards across the bay. And I was like, it was pretty crazy. I was like, man, that's nuts. Like it looked like a mountain at nighttime in the water. So that was pretty crazy.
That was like me with Waterpalooza swim.
Yeah, I could do, yeah.
Just looking up at the bay and being like, oh god, take me back. Do you cook?
I do.
What's your thing to cook? If someone was coming around and you were going to impress them?
I can cook a pretty good tri-tip, sweet potato, and like asparagus. I got a Traeger grill out there, which is a smoker, and man, you can smoke some meat on that thing. It's pretty good.
What's the funniest thing that's happened to you at the games? We've had, Khalifa said he went on one and he pissed himself whilst going around. We've had people sitting next to each other and passing out, falling into ice buckets, not going upstairs.
There was one where it was like, which isn't really like super funny, but like I thought it was actually really funny in the moment, where we were literally on the line, and it was on Sunday of 2014, and it was before that lunge GHD handstand walk workout, and like I'm sitting there and I'm pretty sure my foot was over the line like before we started, and Rich looked over and he's like, hey, foot's over the line. And I was like, damn it. It was funny in the moment.
He was in 20, it was before you had the whole facial hair thing, and it was when they put you like underground, took your phones away, and they're like announcing workout. I don't remember what it was, but you were standing there in front of all the athletes just telling jokes.
Oh yeah, that's a big
there was
problem.
one
This
where-
is my time to shine.
Yeah,
right,
there was
guys?
one. I know exactly what you're talking about. It was 2014, and it was Khalifa, and they actually searched us to make sure that we didn't have our phones on us when they put us into holding. And I was like, and they were searching Khalifa. They were there patting him down, and I was like, you better check way up there, man. Get in there deep. I know he's got a cell phone. He told me he did. And Khalifa looked at me like, what are you talking about?
But that's kind of the banter aside that
Yeah.
people love you for.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that stuff is just like I'm having such a great time when I'm there. Like I'm typically not super stressed out and relaxed, and exactly try to get in people's heads.
Are you the joker behind the scenes there?
For sure.
Like when you're there and everyone else is around and like headphones on, super
Yeah.
focused, you're like, right, who can I pick on?
Exactly. That's exactly. I think like watching Arnold in Pumping Iron. When he was giving like Lou Ferrigno and those guys all trouble, I was like, I love it. I was like, I want to be that guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you eat pizza?
Oh yeah.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Right. It's like we need to start a tally of this because there's people that are yes and no and it's all over the place.
Oh, people.
People get offended.
Yeah. Like I know I'll probably lose followers because of this.
Yeah.
Way to go.
All the comments.
Yeah.
Who do you want to meet? Like if you can meet anyone in the world right now, like for me it'd be The Rock. Who do you want to meet?
George W. Bush. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of like presidents. I think that's such a.
You're the biggest fan that you name your dogs after them.
Yeah, right. I mean, every dog's after a president so far.
Soon we're going to have Trump around. You can't say that on the block. Trump running around.
Another again, boom, you just lost followers.
Yeah, this vlog has just completely ruined my career.
Yeah, you should have come here, man.
Yeah.
George W. Bush, I think would be a really cool sit-down conversation to have. Like, you know, he went through, as our president, like going through like 9/11, like that's such a crazy thing, you know, and so many presidents don't have to deal with something like that, and he did, and he, you know, like, I just love to like sit down and talk.
Pick his brains.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd want to pick his brain or just like hang out with him.
Yeah. You get stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life. You can take 3 games athletes with you. Who do you take? Because every time we've asked this question to games athletes, you are the answer. Most of the time, they're like, "I'd take Josh Bridges because he would save me." So who would you take?
I'd take Rich and Dan because they're my buddies.
Yep. Who's funnier?
Depends like on the situation. Yeah, Dan's pretty funny.
Sitting on the fence.
Rich is fun. They're both funny.
Yeah, nice.
Like and when we're together, we have a great time. Last one, I'll say Ben Smith, just because he's a good dude. I like Ben. Ben's a great guy. He's always fun. He just kind of like hangs out. But he actually, the last few years, he's come alive. He's like kind of showed a little bit more. Like before, the first few years, man, dude was so quiet, just like super nice guy, but just real quiet. And last few years, he's really come out of the shell.
I love that when people start doing that.
Yeah.
Do you use emojis?
No.
Not at all. Yeah, he didn't send me one when I was messaging him.
Yeah, I kept getting your emojis. I was like, this guy likes emojis.
Yeah, I know emojis. Usually someone has used emoji, but you don't use emojis, so that's fine.
Yeah.
There was a photo recently that like melted Jazz's heart. I posted it, and it was when your kid was crying.
Yeah, he was
the
crying.
thing.
Yeah. That's the thing about Little League wrestling or youth wrestling. Like it's very easy to tell who's winning and losing in a match because the losing kid is crying and the winning kid is not. And so, yeah, my son he lost his first match that day, and and I've never seen a 6-year-old that hates losing more than I do.
You're breeding competitors.
I'm breeding them, man. And it's like, and he was really upset. So I just had to have that talk with him, right? Like, losing's a part of the sports and it's how we grow. And yeah, someone captured it, So it was good.
You know, like speaking about your competitive days or whatever, did you ever doubt yourself? You know, like people look at you as this hardcore, like ex-Navy SEAL badass. Mm-hmm. What goes through your head before you went on the floor? And did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever have those times where you're like, what am I doing? Or like,
I think one of the only times I've ever had doubts was 2015 regionals, which ended up being when I didn't qualify for the games that year. And so yeah, that year like I just didn't train enough. I didn't go into the gym enough. I like took way too many nights off, and I was like, I'm good. I relied on past accomplishments instead of like realizing that every year things were getting harder, things were getting tougher, and going into regionals, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it, and I didn't. And so something since then, or before then though, like I never had any issues like that. I was always very confident, and my goal was always to win the games, and I always thought I could do it. I learned a lot from that year, and it was I'm glad it happened. I needed it to happen, and so. But yeah, that was the one time where I definitely had some doubts. Yeah,
I think a lot of time it comes down to just work.
Right.
Like sometimes when you work and you've put in enough work, you don't need to doubt yourself.
Exactly.
Because you're like, I've done it.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas when you haven't, you realize you haven't, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone asked me like, what were you thinking? Like, what did it feel like what when you went? And I was like, I felt like I was like right before regionals, I felt like I was cramming for a test that I had the night before. Yeah. Like my whole training, like the workouts came out and I was like, oh wow, I needed to work on all of that and I didn't. And so I tried to cram for a test and then I went in very like having my doubts because I knew that I hadn't put in the work that I needed to.
And then that just gave you a reality check and then you came back the next year and crushed it anyway.
For sure, yes, definitely, yeah.
You were apparently the oldest and shortest man on the field, yet you still finished 12th.
Yeah, right, yeah. Was it 12th?
I don't know, 16th.
Something
15th.
like yeah.
It was somewhere where it was very respectable.
It was 12th or 13th. Because that was actually the first year where I wasn't in the final heat, in the final workout, and I was really upset about that. But
that's the competitive nature of you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Why you're a badass. When you're going through like a longer workout, like a grind,
mm-hmm.
Like what ticks through your head? What keeps you just putting one step in front of the other?
A lot of times it's like I'm not thinking. Like, typically when I get into the zone where I'm not thinking, all I'm thinking about is like the exercise at hand. That's what helps me. Like I don't think about like how far I have to go. I don't think about the next exercise that I have to get to. I literally think about like the rep I'm on.
Yeah.
And when I do that, like that's when I get into my zone and I can just kind of keep going.
If you could do one event again from the games, what would it be?
That is a phenomenal question. The entire 2018 games with a good knee.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where did the celebrations come from? Do you just, is that just you? That's just raw emotion.
There's nothing scripted about that. That's all raw emotion. Like I get this surge of adrenaline that like right at the end of a workout if I'm doing really well, and that just comes out. Like I've never like planned any of that or nothing of that is orchestrated. It's all just like comes out and I can't control it.
Some of the coolest moments ever created. What's your plans now? Obviously with your knee and stuff.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting for people to understand. Obviously you've had your knee operated on.
Yeah. I had one of two possible surgeries, and so 4 months we'll see if we want to do the second one or not, and then the plan is to come back and go after it again. So whether that be individual or on a team, we'll see. And also, I have kind of like a really cool announcement, but I don't know if I would.
Yeah, Chris Hinshaw said that you're working on a really cool project.
Yeah.
But he was like, I don't know if you're allowed to tell you or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold that one in for.
Stay tuned.
To make sure that it's gonna happen before I like get anything. Chris is gonna help me if we do it, so it's gonna be really cool.
Badass.
Yeah.
Team, there is plenty more stuff to come.
Definitely.
I love it. That was a fun interview. I hope you did enjoy it. We just had a laugh. Didn't have a joke. Oh no, he did have a joke. Yeah. Now I'm gonna go drop in on his half pipe.
Prove it.
Next video is you in a full body cast.
Next video will be me in a full body cast.
No commitment.
I just ruined my no balls, but I don't care.
Step in, man. Just step in.
They'll send you more.
There it is. Yeah. Well done.
Good job.